Maguire Lines, welcome to Unfolding.
Thank you for having me.
I think it's interesting how paths can diverge and reconnect over time. For those who don't know, we actually went to the same high school, and we were even in the same grade 9 band class at one point. And there was a time where we were basically both in the same place, but then just the way life works, we ended up going on different paths. I got really into music, computer science, started going down the technical mathy route, and then that led me to where I am now doing this podcast. And you went down the sports and athletics side of things. You got really into golf, and that's why we're here at Kananaskis Golf Course. It's beautiful today. You're playing at a professional college level at this point. You toured Quebec like just last week. You're out here in Calgary all summer doing different tournaments. And it's just funny how paths diverge like that and then reconnect. At the beginning of this year, you wrote down that you wanted to be on a podcast. We were not really in touch until I reached out. I'd known about your content for a little while, and I knew you were in my grad class, and I thought, Maguire will be an awesome guy to have on the podcast. For this conversation, I only have one question prepared, and then the rest of this is just going to naturally unfold. When did you realize that the autopilot life wasn't for you?
I feel like a while ago, I kind of always had felt like something in me where I was like, I wanted more. I wanted to see myself reach my greatest potential, and doing that, you kind of have to spread your wings. So that's kind of why I started social media. It was getting out of my comfort zone and trying new things. And it was kind of just like finding ways that I can get to the potential or something that really feels meaningful to me. The autopilot life is easy. Like that's kind of where everyone goes. And I don't throw hate on it at all, because that's, if people enjoy that life, then I'm all for it. And that, because at the end of the day, it's really what matters to you. But for me, I kind of just realized that I wanted something more. And yeah, I was kind of just experimenting, trying to find ways to get there and figure out what I liked. And through doing so, I've met so many people. Like there's a Victoria Builds group back home that I got involved with. Met a ton of people through that. And then with content, just kind of getting people involved. I did a challenge in January where I was doing a cold plunge every day, and I did that with my friend, which was awesome. But we got a bunch of people into it. It was a great movement. And I think stuff like that is just, that might not be what I surround my identity with or what I do, but it's just those little things that kind of all add up to what will eventually be the thing that I do and work towards.
Yeah, and what do you think you are working towards, if you do know, or are you just you're figuring it out and you're honing in on it?
Yeah, everyone always asks me what are you going to do with your life? I work in a restaurant, so people are always curious with what I'm going to do with my degree or with golf. And for me right now, I'm just kind of trying to be as present as I can be, and just focusing on the things that are in my life right now. And I'm going to be honest, I don't really know what that is. Right now I'm golf and school, and I got social media as well. And those are the things that I'm working towards. And I definitely have other interests where I think I might want to go to, but I enjoy what I'm doing right now. And that's really all that I'm focused on, and kind of see where that takes me. And will be more opportunities that kind of open up and maybe lead me in different directions. And that's just part of the game. That's part of what I enjoy about this mission, to kind of reach your potential and, get out of your comfort zone, because there's so many opportunities that will present themselves, which is exciting.
Yeah. What do you think's more important in life? People always ask you oh, what do you want to do with your life? Especially when you're our age, you're in university. What degree are you going to get? What job do you want to do? Do you think there's a difference between having goals and having direction? And if so, what do you think the most important one is?
Oh man, I've read a bunch of different things about goals. There's a book called Burn Your Goals, which I've been meaning to read. And it's just about kind of working towards what matters to you, and just kind of see where it gets you. Goals can kind of alter where you want to go sometimes. I think think at the end of the day, like if you're just rooted in something either bigger than yourself, whatever you want to believe, and you're connected in your community, and um, you're true to yourself and you're honest with yourself, then like having the direction, having goals, I think they'll kind of lead themselves, or you'll lead yourselves towards whatever it may be in those with what you're rooted in. I think I've definitely tried to, I've definitely tried to change myself where I'm like, want to change my identity, and I want to become like other people. But recently I've just been like trying to journal a lot more and understand myself and more be honest with myself, and try to craft my direction that way. I think that's the most important thing. Because I think the only life that's really meaningful to you is your own. And the more you try to get goals to be someone else or aspire to be, it can kind of just burn you out. I think there is a place for that, but for me right now, I'm just trying to get more in tune with myself and just try to improve every day and try to win every day. One of my mottos right now is just staying on a winning streak. And some of it is just like doing actions every day to stay on that winning streak, but it's also an attitude and perspective. So even if something goes wrong, you just kind of find the win in it, or even just like small things, like every day is pretty awesome when you have that perspective and you're just grateful for everything and you're grateful for the little things. It can be hard sometimes when you want more and you want to see success for yourself. But I think when you're as grounded as you can be and grateful, then all that success will just be inevitable.
Yeah, absolutely. So you would say that direction is more important than goals, is what I'm hearing.
Sure. Yeah.
And maybe a piece of that direction is internal alignment, like internal direction,
100%.
sort of uncovering the parts of yourself that reveal who you truly are and what you truly want out of life. Because I think a lot of people get caught up in the identity stuff, right? Like the be, do, have instead of the have, do, be framework is great. And for people who don't know it, it's that most people try to have things. And in order to have things, they try to do things that get them the things. And in order to do those things, sorry, I'm doing this backwards. They try to have things so that they can do things so they can be the person they want to be. And the opposite framework that tends to work better, especially in my experience, is that you become the person who does the things that you want to do that ends up getting you the things you want. But in that framework, the have is more of a byproduct. It's not the end goal.
Exactly.
And the key piece of it is the be. You're not trying to be someone else. You're trying to be more yourself. You're trying to uncover the parts of yourself that have been covered up by other people's judgments or traumas or your own insecurities or just negative patterns that have slowly built up over time that you didn't even realize were there. And so you take a second to pause, sit in that silence and notice it and just go, what's that there? Like the mindfulness gap that just slowly grows over time, as whether you're doing meditation or journaling or any sort of self-reflection. It could even just be like a quiet drive with no music or a walk or a run.
Yeah.
Like some sort of time for your brain to actually just mull through things.
Mm-hmm.
Because everyone's spending all of their time distracting themselves. And it's easy to distract yourself when you convince yourself it's productive, right? Even listening to a podcast like this, it's easy to listen to something like this and go, oh yeah, I'm learning stuff. It's very inspirational. It's motivational.
Yeah.
And, I'd like to think that I'm providing value to people, but it's not valuable if they're listening to it to distract themselves from their own inner world. That's when productivity becomes harmful, I think. What do you think one of your biggest struggles has been like in self-improvement in terms of like chasing that optimization, chasing that improvement, chasing that productivity?
Yeah. Well, first off, what comes to mind is a movie I watched maybe a year ago. It's called Fight Club. And in the movie, it talks about how self-improvement is mental masturbation, but where the real raw improvement comes is self-destruction. And it's like breaking down what you are and who you are and building up yourself just for you, not anyone else. self-improvement is a tricky game because it's advertised as, it's trendy right now. You're buying the books, you're listening to podcasts, you're doing all the right things, you're optimizing, but, there's never enough with it. And I found that for me, I had a Whoop and I was tracking my calories and I was like trying to optimize myself. I was like blue light glasses and I had sleep tape and I was doing all these things and they felt right, but there was just something missing always. And what was missing was just me. It was just like I kind of lost touch with myself. And I think I don't think it's really, I think people overcomplicate self-improvement. We talk about higher up wellness a lot, and his thing is just trying to keep it simple. Like if you can just do the little things right, and just kind of, like you said, have that quiet time with yourself, either if it's in your car or going for a walk. That's something I've done, is just kind of going for walks, and especially after the meal, if you know that.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I strongly believe that it's like, it doesn't take a lot to self-improve. Like, you don't need all the books. Like, it's all kind of, if you read enough of them, they're all kind of the same thing, and it all ties back to just you and just doing the simple things really well, and working hard. So yeah, I'm definitely at a place where I'm just kind of in that state. I've read my books, I've done my podcast, but I'm just like trying to just do the little things well. And it's boring sometimes, like the self-improvement, like I said, it's like reading a book is like, you get all giddy because you're like, oh, I got a new thing to work on. But it's really the boring stuff that's gonna get you where you want to be. And I think just building habits and building routines in that will get you further than any degree or anything. So
Yeah, absolutely. It's easy to get lost in the weeds.
100%.
It's easy to convince yourself that the answer you're looking for is on the other side of a YouTube video that you're going to watch, or a course you're going to take, or a podcast, or a book, or a new experiment you're going to run on yourself, or a new journal you're going to track in your, like a new habit you're going to track in your Whoop. But the thing with that is that over-optimization pulls you out of the Pareto principle, which, if you don't know it, is basically 80% of the gains can be achieved from 20% of the work. And that applies to nearly everything in almost all areas of life when you map it onto things. Like, if you're worried about optimizing stuff in the gym, 80% of what you're going to get out of it is like 20% of all you could focus on. Like, when you look into fitness and nutrition, there's a whole industry around it, right? Multiple industries around selling you courses, selling you supplements, selling you diets, selling you training programs, selling you on, this is the split you need to use, this is the training frequency you need, when really 80% of your returns in terms of health and fitness and well-being are going to come from like 20% of the core things that actually matter, like training hard, eating mostly whole foods and enough protein, and showing up consistently. If you can do those three things, you'll be set. But people get so lost in the weeds and they convince themselves, no, that can't possibly be the answer. Like, that's too simple. And then they get sucked into a course or sucked into this other thing. And I'm not discrediting courses and programs and PT and all of that. There can be value in those things, of course. But 90% of the time, the answers you're looking for are just in the simple, obvious thing that you just need to stick to and keep at it and keep showing up. Like, showing up and staying true to yourself and knowing that you've put in the most amount of work that you can put in for yourself, I think is what will get you probably 80% of the returns you're looking for in life. And that last 20% is up to you on whether you really want to push for that or not, because it's going to take a lot more work to push for that last little bit than it did for the first 80%.
Yeah.
That last tiny bit is like, that's the perfection area. That's where the perfectionists get stuck, right?
Yeah.
That's the over-optimizers. They're like, I want to get to perfect. And that's a great thing to strive for. But I think the balance between striving for perfection and being happy with where you're at is realizing that, like, if I truly want the best life that I can live, I want to be happy and enjoying myself while I'm doing it. And pushing for that last tiny little bit of perfection most of the time will not yield what I'm looking for in terms of fulfillment, enjoyment, happiness. Where do you see the balance between that striving for improvement and enjoying where you're at? Because it's a difficult thing for a lot of people to balance when they're like, okay, yeah, I need to be grateful, but how do I balance that while I'm also trying to improve my life? Like, I don't like where I'm at. I'm trying to get better at different things. How do I appreciate how far I've come when I'm still so far from where I want to be?
I Man, I was in this like last year. I was like, how, I'm not where I want to be. How can I be grateful for the life I have if I'm not there yet? And I was battling with this. I was like, how do I figure this out? But at the end of the day, it's like we live a pretty awesome life. If you and I did absolutely nothing for the rest of our lives, it wouldn't be too bad of a life. You know what? We're in Kananaskis right here. We're in a beautiful country. Like we both have great families, friends. Like, there's a lot of people that don't have that stuff. And I think when you can have that level of gratitude with everything that you do, it's like it makes the improvement so much more exciting. Because even though you're not where you want to be, you're just like, hey, well, you know what? Like, hey, I get to wake up and I get to, try again. I get to train again. I get to work towards being better. Like we get the privilege to work to be better for ourselves. There's a lot of people in the world that don't have this. They have limited resources and they're just like wondering when their next meal is going to be. So we're very privileged, and it's tough because it's like, if you haven't been over there, like I haven't been over there, or anywhere in poverty in the world or whatever, it's hard to understand that. And especially in our world where we're trying to get self-improvement and we're more and more, it's like gratitude can get lost sometimes. And especially with me, I'm a golfer. I'm in the game of the endless perfection. Like you are never perfect, but you're always striving to be perfect. The people that win are the people that miss the least. Like you're trying to perfect your swing. Like it's never ending. But with it, it's just like you're training hard, and in practice, you want to practice like you've never won. But when you're out on the course, it's like you're just having fun. Like you get to play a tournament, you put all the work in to go play. And I think that relates to life a lot as well. I mean, golf is the game of life. And perfectionism it's tough because it ruins a lot of what you've accomplished. And if you never take a moment to step back and realize where you've come from, what you have been doing, the progress that you've put in, the care that you're giving yourself, you'll never be fulfilled. And then what's the point of all this? What's the point of playing golf? What's the point of improving in life if you can't enjoy those little moments? You can't enjoy the struggle. And even though you aren't where you want to be, if you can't enjoy the process, then it's pretty hard to keep going. So that's kind of what I try to lean back on as much as I can when I do get in those moments. So yeah, just keep it simple and just be grateful. And sometimes it's hard to, you're like, oh, like what am I grateful for? And but if you can just write down 3 things every day, and you'll get good at it. Like I in March I made this like spreadsheet where I wrote down every bit of my day, and the last thing was like, what are 3 things you're grateful for? And you just had to like find anything, and it could be, I'm grateful that I ate this today, or I'm grateful that it was raining today and it's not a desert. Like just the most like simple things, but anything. It just kind of trains your brain to look for the positives in each day. And I think that really helped my mood and performance and just my overall well-being.
Absolutely. Yeah, gratitude was one of my early entry points as well with this sort of leads into the positive abundance mindset that I think is where true change and true magic happens, because you can get a lot done with negative motivation, that internal drive of trying to prove yourself to others, and it's sourced from insecurity or insufficiency from your past, maybe childhood bullies or parents that didn't believe in you or whatever it is. That voice in the back of your head that's like, I'm going to show them, right? I'm going I'm gonna make something of myself and I'm gonna show off to the world like once I get this thing. But that's the issue. That part right there, the once I get this thing, again, it's back to that be to have. Once I get this thing is focused on the external goal. It's focused on the end point. And the issue with that is once you reach it, you'll realize you're on to the next thing immediately. As soon as you achieve a goal, you're immediately thinking, okay, what's the next goal? Like sometimes I'll catch myself. I go on a trip or I go on a vacation, and even as I'm arriving there or as I'm there, I think to myself, oh, it would be great to come back here sometime. Or this is going to be so great once I do another trip. Like I'm not even there. I'm in the trip and I'm already thinking about the future and I'm already thinking about the next one. I'm not even in the moment of the current trip I'm on. So it's so easy to get caught up in that endpoint, caught up in that external. And that is the true insidiousness of insecurity and insufficiency, is that it is effective. You can get a lot done. You can move mountains with insecure motivation driven from, your childhood bullies or whatever, that pushes you to be great and pushes you to be better, because it'll start working. You'll start pushing yourself to be better. And then that will reinforce the loop. That'll reinforce hey, this is how I can get it. And this is how I can make it done. Mm-hmm. The thing is, it's not going to last forever.
Right.
And sooner or later, you're going to achieve most of the things you've wanted and realize you're still miserable and you're still insecure and you still don't think you're good enough. And you're going to sort of look around at your life, and it may look good from the surface. It might look good on the outside, and you're going to realize that it's hollow and empty because you've been chasing improvement for the have instead of the be, and you haven't become the person you want to be. You just have a bunch of things that person would have, but that's why it feels empty, because you feel like you're living in someone else's life almost. And gratitude is one of those super powerful things that can help you sort of nudge towards this ideal of like internally sourced motivation. And this ties back to something I've talked about a few times recently with guests on the pod, the difference between devotion and obsession. Because you'll see this online all the time. I'm sure you've seen, like, you need to be delusional in yourself. You need to be obsessed with your goals. You need to be so locked in that like other people are confused as to how you wake up every day, right? And I think there's an element of truth to that. But I think what they're missing is that a lot of times that is sourced from negative motivation, that external motivation. And that is incredibly destructive. That type of obsession will ruin your life. Devotion, on the other hand, it's internally sourced, and gratitude can help shift you towards that. Devotion is like the marriage of love of the game, but also love of the process and love of the person you're becoming along the way. Like, devotion is still having goals to reach a place that you want to get to, but it's knowing you don't need that goal. It's just something you're aiming towards. It's like, this podcast is going to be huge. I have massive goals for it. I'm all in on it, right? Like, I have big plans for how I want to scale up the production, add people onto the team, travel all over the world, see like insane guests, really just make the most out of it that I can to provide as much value to people who want to watch and tune in as possible. But I know that I don't need any of those goals, and that I will be the same person and I'll be okay no matter if I have the goals or if I don't have the goals, whether I have the haves or don't have the haves, because all I'm focused on is becoming the person who does the podcasting and just enjoys the podcasting to the fullest extent that I can. Like, setting up this here at Kananaskis was not an easy feat.
No.
Took way longer than I wanted it to. The lights that I ended up renting didn't end up being used because the sun is so bright that the lights just got completely drowned out. Like, all these little things that just, if I was sourced from negative motivation, that would have been a miserable experience for me and probably for you as well. I would have been complaining. I would have been like, oh, this is freaking annoying. It's not going to be as good as I want it to be. Like, oh, this is taking too long. And it would have been miserable. But when I had that grateful abundance type mindset of just like, hey, I love podcasting and this is just part of the game. This is just part of the way it works. And like, yeah, it's not exactly how I imagined it, but it's still going to be kick ass. And it's still going to be an amazing conversation. It's still going to be one of the coolest locations I've literally ever filmed in, with the Rocky Mountains in the background and an awesome golf course when I'm chatting with a golf athlete. Like, it's perfect.
Yeah.
That's the difference between devotion and obsession, because the end point, ironically, is the same. if anything, I think you can get more success out of devotion because your motivation is near infinite.
Yeah.
You're going to outlast every person who is externally sourced because any challenge they rush up against is a significant challenge because it threatens their goals and it threatens the possibility of getting somewhere. Whereas if you're devoted to the process and you just love whatever the thing is that you're doing, the challenges are just a little bump in the road that's like, oh, that was interesting. You learn from them. You learn how to like chart the waters better, and they become part of the improvement. You look forward to the challenges because you know on the other side of this, hey, next time I know if I'm shooting outside on a sunny day, don't need to rent lights.
Yeah.
Don't need to worry about it.
Exactly.
Every challenge is an opportunity to learn. And I think that's the power of the devoted versus obsessed mindset, because I think it can even push you further because you're going to beat out the people who are sourcing from insecurity.
Yeah.
And I think as you were talking about with gratitude, that is one of the easiest entry points to get to that point. I know that's where I started, was just being grateful for the little things and also developing that greater sense of awareness. Because when you're stuck in that obsessed, insecure mindset, it's really easy to get lost in the weeds, as I said before.
Yeah.
And it's really easy to lose the forest through the trees, as they say.
Yeah.
Or I might be butchering that quote, but it's something like that.
Something like that.
Where you can barely see the details because you can barely see the forest because you're so caught up in the detail of each tree. I'm pretty sure that's correct.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean. And I think gratitude is one of those best entry points. Was there another moment where that you think was a catalyst towards this sort of devoted state of just enjoying where you're at in life and tuning into that internal alignment and sense of direction instead of trying to source everything to like an external goal?
Yeah, I mean, I'm in the results game. Like going through high school, you needed to produce results to get to university. You needed to get the grades you wanted to, or you needed the high enough grades to get into university.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, a lot of life is results. But like truthfully, I found my worst times were when I was in that state, when I was wrapped up in results. Like there's been times where I've just absolutely hated golf because it's like all I want to do is just play well. I just want to like score well. And when that doesn't happen, it's like you're just crushed. Your expectations are so high. And that's when, burnout happens and it's hard to perform. You can't perform like, you can. And I think that's when I kind of knew I needed to switch to like, well, what do I even want to do? Like, and why do I like this? And I'm reading a book right now called Simon Sinek. It's called Start With Why. And it's about how everything in your life needs to be rooted with, why are you doing it? If you have a strong enough why, you can overcome any how. And I think, again, like just trying to find some peace in myself and understand, why am I golfing? Why am I in school? Why am I, trying to improve to be the best version of myself? And in doing so, that's when you can kind of find the enjoyment. And even in those hard times, you can understand and, look back on, why you're doing this. And, like you said, devotion is really going to help you succeed. And I found a lot of success in that. I still think there's like more that I need to uncover, especially with golf. It's hard to not be wrapped up in the results. As soon as you start identifying with it, and that's how you play. But I'm watching this Netflix documentary right now by Rafa Nadal, and he says in the match, he's like, I'm not, he might beat me, but I'm not going to lose. So, his process, he's going to win his process. He's going to be focused, he's going to be concentrated. He's going to give the best physical effort he can to every point. And that's really what is winning. And if the results come, then great. That's just the cherry on top. One of my teammates is incredible at this. So he's like, you've already won. Now, like, just go show it. And we work hard all year to prepare for these tournaments, and you're studying for your exams, and you've put the work in. So like, just go enjoy it. There's no extra stress that you need to put on yourself, and the results will come. And it's hard sometimes to like feel that deep down, but it is the truth. And it's as soon as you can understand that and really believe that you are a winner, and you're doing the right things, and you're learning, and you can be kind to yourself, then that's when devotion is just easy, and it's you get that success. And um that's what I would tell anyone who's struggling with their sport, or is feeling burnt out, is just like, try to find your why, and try to find why you love this, and then just focus on the process, and focus on the things you can control, and the outcomes are something you can't control. So don't worry about them. Easier said than done, but it's the truth. And as soon as you can realize it, the sooner success will come to you.
Yeah, absolutely. I think a big piece of all of this that ties into the abundance mindset is manifestation, and how people get really confused around what that actually means, and like how it actually works. Because a big piece of the abundance mindset is like noticing opportunities, right? It's Tony Robbins' exercise, and we can do it right now real quick, where he says, okay, look around everywhere you are, find anything that's red. And then you take a few seconds, you're like, okay, the chairs, the ends of the tripod are red. There's a band over there that's red. Canadian flag over there's red. There's a car over there that's sort of red. And then it's like, okay, found some red stuff. What was yellow? And then if you close your eyes and try and remember, okay, what did I see that was yellow? You have no idea, because you weren't looking for the yellow. You were looking for the red. And the point with that is that when you're so focused on end goals, you don't even notice the opportunities that could lead you to things that you actually want. So being as open as possible to whatever happens will lead you to potentially better outcomes. I mean, a perfect example is this shoot location right here. I had originally planned to just film it in like a provincial park in Kananaskis, which would have been cool. But last night over dinner, we had the idea of, hey, let's go to Kananaskis Golf Course, because you play golf and it's just as beautiful, maybe even better. Amazing backdrop. And on the drive to Kananaskis this morning, I was calling them. They were like, okay, we'll call you back. I called the manager, and then we got on the phone. He's like, yeah, we can chat when you get here. So we got here, we had a little chat and it worked out. But that would have never happened if I was just focused on executing my vision and getting us to Kananaskis Blue Rock Wildland Provincial Park, where I originally wanted to film. That was the red that I was focused on. This was the yellow that was hiding in plain sight. And the thing with that is, I think this is a way better location. So if I had been closed off to this opportunity, it would have never happened. And the thing with that is that the more open you are to anything going not your way, the more life can surprise you for the better. And opportunities, when you have that mindset of like anything can happen and maybe it'll be great, opportunities just pop up. Case in point, beginning of this year, was it? You wrote down, I want to be on a podcast this year. What was that like? And from your perspective, I mean, for me, I reached out to you just because like you popped into my head as a creator I knew, and I liked your content. But what was that story like for you when you wrote down, I want to be on a podcast this year, and getting to now?
Yeah, well, like, kind of the story behind why I started social media was like, I just want to like share like what I'm learning. I want to share like my progression through life. And so a podcast just kind of seemed like, I was like, well, maybe I should start a podcast, but I just stuck with the social media. So I was like, okay, let me be on a podcast. I want to do that. But I was like, I had no idea how it was going to happen. I literally just wrote down, I'm going to be on a podcast this summer, or just this year. And, here we are. And I think it's amazing how, like, I totally forgot about that. Like, I just wrote it down. I was like, okay, yeah, like, keep moving with your life. And, but then, yeah, you reached out to me. I'm like, oh my God, dude. And like, you come out here to Kananaskis. We're out here, we're filming. Like, I'm so excited to be here and like, just share what I know and what I'm learning and what I'm going through. And I think like, I feel like I haven't reached the success that I want to get to, but like already it's just like when you put something out there in the world, it's amazing what can happen. And, if you ask for something, you ask to be on this golf course and you get it, like, there's so much out there and there's so much potential that you can get, everyone can get, and you just got to go get it. And, yeah, I think just being here and is super cool, and I'm just going to continue being open and being curious with different things, like with golf and how I'm training and working out and nutrition and like just enjoying life, like just always being open and like every day is a new day, and it's exciting waking up when you got something new to like figure out, or go talk to a stranger or something. Like it's yeah, it's cool. I love that about life.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's crazy that just happened like that. You just write down, I'm going to be on a podcast this year. And then you set that goal and you just forget about it. You put it in and it's just out of sight, out of mind. And then it just sort of shows up when you're ready for it. It's really interesting how that happens. I
Yeah.
think a big piece of it is like tying back to this trying to have things. A big piece of manifestation that I think people don't understand is that it's acting as though you already have the things that you want. And that creates a level of detachment in your mind where it's like, I don't need these things because I know I'll have them at some point. Like having this strong enough belief in yourself that you know, if I'm committed to showing up every single day, I'm committed to being the best that I can and showing up in the best way that I can for other people, being kind, being of service, just putting my best foot forwards in life pretty much. I know I'll get to the places I want to get to. So I shouldn't even worry about if I'm going to get the results that I want because I know I'll get them at some point. I may not know how they're going to arrive. I may not know when they're going to arrive, but just trusting in the fact that like if I keep aiming towards them and I keep incrementally working towards them, they're going to happen. So acting as though you already have them is how you develop that strong visualization around it. There's this graph I was reminded of on a call with my mentor last week, and it's just like the best visualization for this in terms of like a visual. I can show it to you afterward, but it's by Tim Urban, and it's like a chart of the way your life works in terms of time and how it branches out. So it's like there's this origin point at the beginning, and it's like a black dot, and it branches out into all of these like black branches, a big interleaving web, and it all cuts off at this line in the middle. That's the present. That's the path that you can lead back to where you were born that led you to where you are now. And there's all these other black branches that you could have taken that would have led to completely different options that you did not take. Everything that's closed off to you. And then right at the present, there's another expanse of branches, but they're all green. And they expand exponentially outwards. There's an infinite number of choices you can make at any given moment, right? And the dream life that you want, the dream life you imagine for yourself where your potential is maximized and you're enjoying yourself and you know a lot of the goals that you have been reached and you just like love your day to day and like a lot of the things that you imagine yourself doing and having you just have and you're doing, that dream life exists in one of those branches. And what that means is that there is a path from that dream life to where you are now. And as you keep that I already have it manifestation mindset, I don't like the word manifestation because people have such like preconceptions of what it means and all that, but you have that visualization mindset around where your life can go. And you know that if I'm aiming towards that and slowly, incrementally working my way up to it, how could there possibly be any other option than getting to that point?
Yeah. I and it's interesting because like it seems so simple to do that. And it really is. Um and I think one of the most important things when trying to achieve your goals and um having so much confidence and belief in yourself and knowing that you can reach your goals and all that is just surrounding yourself by people that think the same. There's a lot of people that will play small. I mean, I used to play small, and it's yeah, you're just in a lack mindset. And
It can suck
um
the life out of you for sure.
yeah, and I think when you can be around people that are uplifting and they're chasing their goals and they're going to be in the same boat, then it's easy to believe in that. It's easy to like have trust into the work is so much easier. And um like as we've been talking, like it's amazing, and that's what I love about putting yourself out there and um getting out of your comfort zone is you meet so many people that are kind of doing the same thing. It's crazy how the life that you live attracts people that are in the same life. So, um, yeah, I think that's a big thing. Like I don't know about you, but in high school there was definitely different crowds, and it's easy to kind of get sucked in. You're trying to like figure out who you are, and
Yeah.
um, but as you get older, you kind of um, you're not around as many people, so you can kind of select who you want to be around. And I think that like it helps a lot with getting to where you want to be.
Yeah. People talk about like charisma and confidence a lot, and like how it relates to the fear of perception and all of that. How do you define magnetism?
It's just being so authentically yourself. Um, if you're trying to be someone else, then why would someone want to be around you? You're just like everyone else. And I think the more you can be yourself, and it takes time, like it takes some time to kind of understand that. Cause I know for me, kind of middle school and high school, I was so lost. Like I had no clue what I wanted to do. And I was like around different friends. I was like, who do I want to be? And you'd kind of like pick up different traits. And you're like, okay, I like that. I don't like that. And it's all part of the game. You're all trying to figure yourself. But um, I know for me, the most magnetic people in my life are the ones that just, they don't give a damn about anyone. They're just like, they're so themselves, and they're driven towards something, or they're just living life. And you just want to be around them because they don't have a care in the world. There's so many people that are trying to like be people they're not. And it's tough to see sometimes. I mean, I see it in myself the odd time, and I'm still working to kind of just be me, and just, understand my values, and lean on those. But yeah, it's like when you're driven towards something and you're yourself, then who wouldn't want to be around you? Like people love to be around someone that's going to support them and lift them up. And that's like one of the things that I'm really trying to be more and more like, is just not caring what people think. Like that is a dangerous game. And it can be hard because you kind of want to fit in, and you want to, would be liked and stuff. But um, I know myself, and I know, um, I'm a good person, and just kind of being myself, the people that are meant to be around me are gonna come to me. And yeah, but the more I try to be like other people, the less the right people will kind of want to be around.
Yeah. For me, I think magnetism is the perfect word for it, because when you tune into that authentic self, you truly do become a magnet. You attract the people you want to attract. You attract the people who are like-minded, who, as you said, like have that growth abundance mindset, that enjoy the most out of life. They're just fun to be around, right? Like those are the people, like your vision for life kind of expands. And like the people who seemed like invisible and like were never there, they just people who match your energy just sort of show up. And at the same time, what most people are absolutely like scared to death of is people get repelled from you. And the best part of that is that the people who are repelled from you are the people who have that lack mentality, who have that insecurity, who have that scarce mindset, who or are they might not be super insecure, but they might be very boastful and outgoing, but it's like shallow confidence, right? That's the ego confidence that people think of when it's like, oh, that guy's like a cocky, arrogant asshole. He's full of ego. He's super confident, but like, you don't want to be around him because he's like, everything's a performance. That's the same type of person you'll also repel. When you're tuned into that authentic self, it just naturally draws in the people that you want in your life and repels the people you don't want in your life. So it's not even really worth worrying about whether people are going to like you or whether you're going to fit in, because as you tune into your authentic self, yeah, people aren't going to be mad at you. People are going to dislike you. People are going to say, wow, you believe that? I can't believe you're blah, 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 especially like political opinions. But that's a whole other thing. But even like values-based things, like if you're just truly authentically yourself and you're like, yeah, this is how I feel, people don't like that sometimes. People, it like brushes them the wrong way and they get like off put by it. But that's exactly what you want, because that's like a filter for the people you want in your life and the people you don't want in your life. And what will end up happening is the longer you sort of stay in that state, and it's not easy. It's simple, but it's not easy. Michael Smoke 101.
Yeah.
It's a difficult process. It takes time. It's something you work at. It's not something you do or be. But the more you slip into that and the more you sort of live in that state, the easier it gets. And you truly do become, I believe, like a person of charisma and magnetism. Even as someone myself, I used to think I was introverted and super shy. Was the weird kid. I was nerdy, playing a lot of video games, didn't have tons of friends. Uh, I wasn't, I was, I was in band. So that's already, you're like off to the side in terms of like social status in high school. But like, didn't have tons of friends, wasn't super outgoing, was pretty shy, didn't talk to a lot of people. And that was self-reinforcing. I didn't believe in myself. I thought extroversion was like some unattainable status that I couldn't get to. And I think one of the biggest problems with labels like that is like, yeah, there might be a truth to introversion and extroversion in terms of like where you source your energy from, in terms of like a psychological level. But humans are way more fluid than a bunch of labels. Calling yourself an introvert is incredibly limiting because it tells yourself, I'm not an outgoing person. I don't talk to people. I'm not social. And that will reinforce your behavior. Whereas if you open yourself up and go, sometimes I'll be introverted, sometimes I'll be extroverted, but generally people are great and I like socializing with people, and being open to new connections can lead to untold opportunities. Life just kind of goes better for you.
Yeah.
And it's hard to see that when you're stuck in that insecure state. I know if I told myself this message when I was like super insecure and super shy, I would have like maybe believed it on the surface, but I would have been like, that's too hard. That's too scary. But tying it back to that magnetism piece, it's like, you don't need to worry about if people like you or not. Like the fear perception stops so many people from chasing their dreams and actually getting what they want out of life. But it's a non-issue because if you tune into your authentic self, you're going to have more friends and more people and more opportunities than you know what to do with, because there's 8 billion people in the world. If you start attracting the right people, there's more than enough to go around.
100%.
And you'll repel the scarce people as well. So the people you're worried about who are going to judge you, they're not going to be sticking around very long, because one of the quotes I love is, shame only exists in the darkness. You bring it to light and it disappears. And I think the same way, insecurity only exists in the darkness. So when you meet an insecure person and you're truly authentically aligned with yourself, it makes them feel even more insecure about themselves, because they can tell nothing's going to phase you and nothing they say is going to bring you down to their level in terms of like self-belief and self-image. And that makes them even more uncomfortable. So they won't want to be around you, even if they're like not introverted and shy, as I said earlier, but like insecure in an outgoing, boastful way. And I think tuning into that authentic self is so important, but it's a hard journey. I know I've been meditating and journaling for like over a year, maybe 2 now. And before that, I wasn't super into mindfulness, and I was doing some gratitude stuff here and there. But I think meditation and journaling were like one of the biggest unlocks for me in terms of self-reflection, and especially reading my own journals or analyzing like past entries and finding patterns in my own thinking and just seeing like, oh, I'm just doing that thing again that I did like 5 months ago, but just in a new context. I didn't learn. I'm just like, this is just the exact same thing I was doing before, and it didn't work out that time. So maybe I won't do that again.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it's just chipping away at that self-awareness, like the mindfulness gap thing I was talking about. The way I think of meditation is it's like a river, and the water slowly erodes away at the rocky underbed and sort of creates these channels, and it gets a little bit easier over time. What is your experience with meditation and mindfulness? Has it just been journaling primarily, or?
Yeah, I've experimented with couple different things. Like journaling's been good. I think it's easy for my brain to just like dump everything out, and I don't have any structure. I just write down what I'm thinking, and I am my own worst critic, which can be detrimental, but I'm also my own best friend, and I know myself the best. So, a lot of things that I think about and go through that, I can, it's patterns. Like I know myself. I think there's space to talk with people 100%. I think you need to talk with people, but I think you can know a lot about yourself just from journaling. So that's been really good. And I mean, everyone thinks that meditation is like sitting down for 30 minutes and like following, a breathing routine and maybe different positions. But sorry, in its simplest form, it is literally just like sitting here and just being aware of where I am right now. That's it. You're present. You're mindful that you are here. And I think that was a good switch for me because when you think it's like, 30 minutes, I need to block 3 minutes off each day to be mindful. It's like,
Becomes a trap.
yeah, you just like, you don't make the time for it. But if it's just like something that wait, actually, I don't need to be thinking about work this afternoon or, what I got going on later tonight. It's like, I'm right here. I'm doing the podcast and being mindful like that. It's just present. And then you can be more intentional with what you're doing. And, that's my favorite type of mindfulness. There's a gazillion type of breathing tricks and, like I said, like positions and all that. And it's great. But again, it's like, just do the simple stuff. Just, breathe for 5 minutes or just close your eyes and just like be present without any sound or drive in the car with no music or go for a walk in nature. That's all mindfulness. It doesn't need to be like, you don't need to go to a class to get someone to instruct you through mindfulness. That's not like, you can do that, but, yeah, like it doesn't, it's not that complicated. And I think I love listening to like loud music. I love, I love driving. I love driving on the highways here because you're driving at like 110 and, I love kind of a fast-paced life, but it's important for me to slow down sometimes. And mindfulness has helped me do that, just with journaling and meditation and just like slowing down for a second. I still love the fast life. I still love doing that stuff, but you kind of need to have a balance. Otherwise, you're just going to go overboard.
Yeah, totally. My favorite way that I've heard it described is like, just have your feet and your head in the same place at once.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. It's just not trying to think about the future, not worrying about different things. Like, let the thoughts and the feelings be there. Don't try and push them away, but like, just notice that they're just kind of there. And you can still be present while thinking about other things. And like, I mean, this fly keeps landing on me. That keeps pulling me into the present. I just like keep trying to like brush it off my leg. But yeah, like, again, it becomes that trap of like, oh, how optimal is my meditation?
Yeah.
How productive is my mindfulness routine? Oh, I need my 5-step morning routine in the morning. Otherwise, I'm like, my day set up for failure. It's like, wow, that's how fragile your day is that you need your 5-step morning routine. Otherwise, you're screwed. Like, I think routine is great, and having these little habits and rituals that you can use to help you throughout the day are perfect. But like, don't rely on them. Don't need them, because if you need them, then when they aren't there, you
become robotic.
Exactly. You become robotic. You sort of lose your footing. You're like, whoa, I didn't have my morning electrolytes and now my energy's thrown off for the day. Whoa.
You're gonna die way faster stressing yourself out about the perfect routine than if you just like live and just do the best you can.
Exactly. And I think this chase for perfection even ties into something like even like the bigger things. Like, I was thinking recently about the podcast and what led me to this point, because I was on a bunch of different paths before this point, honestly. Obviously, in high school, I was super into music. I was doing that. And when I first went to university, I was doing the music and computer science program, which was like music production, sound engineering type stuff. And I really enjoyed that. And I thought that's where I wanted to go. And then when that didn't feel right anymore, I just switched. I went into computer science. I was doing a lot of game design. I was doing game jams. I was working on coding for different projects with like buddies. I was in the game dev club, and that was super fun. And I was enjoying that. And I thought, this is cool. I think this might be closer. But then eventually that started to feel wrong. And I listened to that intuition and I switched again. Then I was doing computer science with more math courses. I was getting more fundamental. I was looking into like the theory of things, how the structures of these different systems and formulas and everything fit together. And I thought that was it. And I thought hey, this is getting closer. And then I realized that's not it either. But the thing is, all of those points have led me to podcasting, because in different ways, they've taught me different pieces of what I need to do the thing that I actually truly want. And the thing with the podcast now is that I know this is the thing. I love it so much. There's so many different avenues of it that I just enjoy, like tweaking, problem solving, and just sitting down and doing the actual podcast. Of course, that's one of the best things, is like this is the whole thing. This is like what it's about, obviously, right? Having the conversations, connecting with people, sharing that with others. But like even like the boring, tedious stuff, like the logistics of setting up equipment and gear, editing, like I find fun in that too. And it's just curious to look back and realize that like all the different things I'd worked on throughout middle school and high school led me towards this point. And I think one of the key underlying factors that I realized that was actually one of my keys to honing in on this so quickly, because a lot of people, it takes them a long time to find their passion, right? And that's totally understandable. Like there's so many different options. Most people have so many different interests. It's like, what do I want to do? What fulfills me the most? One of my key realizations that I had upon reflecting about this is like, I was just willing to quit. I was tuned into that intuition of that internal feeling of like, this doesn't feel right anymore. And I was just fully willing to quit when something wasn't aligned with me anymore. Like I loved music production, but when it felt wrong, I was willing to quit. I loved game design, but when it felt wrong, I was willing to quit. Even university as a whole, which recently, a few months ago, I dropped out. It took me a while to come to that decision. And like the last episode I did, I delved into that story a lot more. Like that was a rough one. But even listening to that intuition, every time I trust that internal intuition, it leads me to something closer to alignment and something more true and more fulfilling to me. And I think not knowing what you want out of life is totally fine, especially like our age. We're 21, right? Like most of us don't know what we want. Just because I've found it, I think that's great for me. But like that shouldn't be like an expectation or a pressure put on people. There's already enough pressure as to like what you want to do out of life. I think, you know, Dan Coe, of course.
Of course.
One of his best frameworks that helped me when I was at the beginning was having an anti-vision, figuring out exactly what I don't want out of life and just using that to create direction so I'm at least pointing towards where I might want to go. And that was the best thing that sort of helped get me towards this point where I was like honing in on what I was truly devoted to and truly passionate about, that truly lit me up and lit that fire inside of me. Because when something lights you up like that, you just never want to stop.
Yeah.
Have you done the anti-vision exercise, or
I haven't.
what was the spark for you in terms of like thinking about the direction you're heading in?
I think like you said, like it's intuition, like what feels right and what you're driven to. Like I felt like this, I love public speaking. So I was like, how can I share this with the world? How can I, do something that I like where I can just do public speaking and practice, and social media was that platform for me, and I'm super grateful for it. As much as social media sucks and it can drain people, it's also a great platform for opportunity. And I think again, like following your gut, and just being bold, and just not being scared about what people might think. Yeah, I think like you deep down you will, like, your body knows. So, and if you follow that, you're always going to be well off. If you're like I said earlier, when you're trying to follow someone else's path on what you might want to do, you'll kind of know if it's right or not. For you, you try different stuff and you're like, this isn't right. And you had the ability to quit, which is amazing. And you moved on, and now you've gone to a place where you're loving life and you're loving what you're doing. And I hope everyone can get to that spot, because it's amazing. And all of the, success that I've had with golf, it's like, it's super cool to see, because it's like, yeah, I really enjoy doing this. And it's like, it's awesome that my work is like paid off and I'm, successful or whatever. And I still think I need more success, but that's all part of it. And, but like you said, like it's, the biggest thing is that you just got to keep trying and like following your gut, and you'll find it. Like one of my favorite guys that I listen to on social media is Gary Vee. I read his book in the spring, and it was just about like some habits and like ways to kind of get around business success, but it related to life. But one of his greatest things that he said is like, if you do nothing and you're 30 years old, like you do nothing up until you're 30 years old, you're still 30. You're still 30 and you still have time to like start over again. It's like a weird balance between, you need to rush like you don't have enough time, like you got to work hard. But you can also there is time to like figure it out. Like we are only 20 and we still need to work hard because life is short. But I think there is more time than people think there is. And I think if you give yourself that time, you're able to find what is right for you and follow your intuition and stay curious. And for anyone that doesn't know what they want to do, which is basically everyone, use that as your superpower and just be as curious as you can to find out what you like. One of my friends in middle school, he's like, yeah, like I'm going to be an engineer. Like he just knew that. And I was like, wow, like I don't even know. I'm in grade 7. Like, I don't know what I want to do. Like, how does he know what he wants to do? And later on, I've kind of figured out that like I was at the advantage because I had the ability to try different things and I wasn't locked in on this one thing. And for some people it works out where it's like, yeah, they know they want to do this for their whole life and they work really hard at it and it works out. But for others, they really want to do that thing, but it doesn't work out. And now you're 23 and you're like, I just spent my whole life doing this one thing and I don't even want to do it anymore. But again, you're 23 and you still got time to do other stuff. But I think there's a lot of value and power in just not knowing what you want to do because you can be curious. Like you can, hey, you know what? I'm going to start a podcast. I'm going to try this. I'm going to come over to Calgary. I'm going to go to Kananaskis. I'm going to do a podcast and just try. If you like it, then great. If you don't, then you move on. Or you edit and you try to figure out if you still want to I don't know. So that's been one thing that I've really enjoyed. It's just like being curious and just like I learned how to juggle last week because I was like, you know what? I'm going to try and juggle. I've been learning how to handstand. Just
Sweet.
like, yeah.
Join the circus.
Yeah, exactly. Just it's fun. Like there's so many things out there you can do. Just go out and get them.
Absolutely. I think Michael Smoke's right that the fear of perception holds a lot of people back. I think the second biggest or maybe equally biggest fear that holds people back is the fear of failure. And that was something that I'd pushed through a lot, was just realizing that like quitting something isn't a failure because everything that I've worked up to that point is a part of me. Every skill that I've learned, every little tidbit of knowledge, every little learning experience that I've done from working on a track, maybe in music production, and then having some audio problem go wrong, that's going to serve me right now with the audio for this podcast and knowing like a bit about sound design, sound engineering and sound design and all of that. Working in game design and code, like it teaches you how to think in systems and how to think in structure, which has helped me out a lot in other areas of podcasting and other areas of my life. Like every pursuit you commit yourself to that you quit, you're not really leaving it. You're just sort of shifting the focus. Because for me, David Data, I don't know if you know anything about him. He's an author. He wrote The Way of the Superior Man, which I have the book and I'm incredibly excited to read it because he was just on Modern Wisdom for the first time in 10 years on any podcast. He's a very reclusive type of guy. And it was phenomenal. One of the things he said in that conversation that got me absolutely fired up was, for me, he's been in a bunch of different careers. Like, it's actually insane. He's an author. He's written 11 books, but he was in neuroscience. He was in artificial intelligence. He was in mathematics. He was in medical school. He was a yoga instructor. And I think there's something else that was like crazy that he also did. Oh, he got like a Nobel Prize for doing a study or like some sort of prize in France in science or something. Like all these crazy things. So you're like, this was one dude in one lifetime? Like, what the hell? For him, there was a moment at the end of the podcast where he said, none of those were different pursuits for me because all of it was the same thing. Knowing myself deeper and knowing the world deeper. So it was easy for me to quit and do something else because that was just a different avenue of the same pursuit. And for me, that was like the biggest unlock because he basically was getting at like the feeling of misalignment and the feeling of being on the wrong path was way worse than any possible fear of people's other perceptions, failure, or uncertainty about the future. And like, oh, what's going to happen? Where am I going to go? He was just like, no, like I'm committed to understanding more about myself and more about the world. And whichever way in the moment, like whichever way feels right to me to do that right now, that's what I'm going to commit myself to, whether it's mathematics or podcasting or golf. That pursuit, when you can tune into that, that's when your intuition and alignment can truly guide you. Because I think people can get confused when you say intuition. They can sort of, I think when you aren't self-aware enough and you haven't developed that like mindfulness gap with yourself, it can be really hard to tell the difference between intuition and like insecure thoughts, to tell the difference between like a little signal that's pushing you in the right direction and some sort of negative pattern or judgment from your past that's like that little voice that isn't even yours. Like most people's heads are full of so much insecurity and judgment and criticism and negative self-talk. It's not them. It's just other people that they've absorbed into their own mind. And it's so layered and complex that they've forgotten and they can't even like tell what's theirs and what isn't. Because if you, I feel like when I get the most self-aware and I'm like the most in tune with myself and the most aligned, I know my core self is just true love and truth. Like there's nothing down there but like absolute peace and absolute like happiness with myself and others. And just like, wow, dude, I get to live life. Like this experience of being a human being is like so crazy. And yeah, like having that gratitude for like realizing how privileged we are. Even anyone listening to this, like if you have access to listen to a podcast, you're in like the top 10% of the world easily. Just like stepping back and realizing that and going like, life is so crazy, and all these insecure patterns and self-doubt and self-criticism that I have, or like worrying about the outcome of something, that's just like other people talking in my own head. And really stepping back from that for me has been like a massive unlock that on a recent episode, like a month or so ago, I was talking about, I called it self-love escape velocity, where it's like you sort of reach this point where it's like, yeah, you're always going to have some bouts of self-doubt here and there. But like, I think once this click happens in you, like you reach this point of self-love and self-acceptance where you're sort of like, you sort of just default to that state a bit more. And you're sort of like, instead of your immediate reaction to things being negative, it's positive. And that helps, develops that channel, right? Like the water erodes at the rocky underbed of the river. Like it just gets a bit easier. And like the self-love isn't something you have to push for as much. It just kind of naturally happens because you realize that it's always been there within you. What has your journey with like insecurity and self-love been? I'm not sure. You seem like a pretty confident and self-love accepting guy, but I'm not sure like what's your path been like with that?
Well, I wasn't always like that. And I definitely still feel like I'm self-critical and insecure in some ways, but it's exactly what you said. When you get so wrapped up in other people, you lose track of yourself, and you're just like trying to figure out who you are, and you're listening to other people's thoughts, and the majority of other people's opinions of you or what you can do are way less than what you could ever achieve. And when you listen to that all the time, you're just like, dude, what am I like? You just feel insecure, and you don't know who you are, and you have so many people talking in your ear, and they all got different things to say, and everyone wants to give advice to you, and like, oh, this is what you should do, but again, like I will say this till the day I die, is just like being by yourself, like loneliness and just being by yourself there's a lot of power in it. And I think that's where I've found a lot of confidence, is just kind of understanding who I am and knowing what I do and what I have done. And then the biggest thing is just like not caring what other people think. And it's probably my like greatest challenge is just trying to get away from that. It feels so hard because again, like you want to be liked, but like you said, like I don't like everyone, so why should everyone like me? And understanding that has helped me a lot. And also understanding no one really cares about you. Like, as dark as that is, we are out here. Like, I was setting up and I was like, man, like this is kind of like people are looking at us.
Yeah, we're in the middle of a golf course, not in the middle, like on the turf or anything, but like right next to all these people walking around looking at us. There's a guy on the phone and you're like, what's this photo shoot thing going on here at the golf course today?
Yeah.
Like, who cares?
Like, people are there's judgment. Like people on the patio, there's people walking by. Like, what are those two doing? Like, who do you think they are? But like, it doesn't matter. And you know, I've been so wrapped up in this conversation, I didn't even notice other people around this. And
Perfect.
if you're so wrapped up in your life, then you don't notice the people that are around you. And you know, the people that get wrapped up in drama and gossip, it's like, just focus on yourself. Like, why are you talking smack about someone else? Like, just focus on yourself. And so stay away from those people. But yeah, it's if you can just let go of the people pleasing, your confidence will increase so much, because you know you're just confident with who you are, and then it doesn't matter what other people say or think of you. You're just you, and you're just pursuing what you want to do.
Yeah. I think something you said earlier that really stuck out to me that I'd love to land on to wrap this up is, yeah, I'm my own worst critic, but I'm also my own best friend. And I think tuning into that and like asking yourself in each moment, which one do I want to be? I think that's super important and something that people can easily lose sight of.
Yeah, there's a place for both. You need to be critical of yourself. No one else is going to be as critical of yourself. And if you have high standards, that critic is going to help you kind of get to where you want to be. You just kind of need that critic to be, you almost need to imagine this critic being like for me, I just imagine this like old man who's just wise and confident.
Like
and
loving
successful.
criticism.
Yeah. And he's just like, you know, all the little worries that you think about, it doesn't matter, because he's like, oh, don't worry about this. And he's like talking with some wisdom like Mr. Miyagi or something. And, but it's like the tough love as well. Like there's some times where I just need to get a kick in the ass, and like you need to step it up. You need to put more work in. Like you're not getting the results, you put more work in, or you know, you are putting the work in. So like just trust it. Like that's the critical self. But then when you're in competition and when you're just, I think majority of the time you just need to be your own best friend. A lot, I mean, the stuff that I say to myself, I would never say to anyone else. So why would I say it to myself? And so the way you got to think of it is like, someone, you know, like how would you talk to your best friend? And that's how you should talk to yourself. Any mistake that you make, it's like, I don't think I would ever judge my best friend on a mistake they made. So why would I judge myself? And if you can kind of master those two and just be kind to yourself through this all, because, you know, no one's getting out of here alive. So why suffer through anything to, you know, like whether you get it or not, like just the pursuit of greatness and reaching your potential is all you can really ask for. And, yeah, just enjoy it. That's all I got to say.
Great stuff, dude. I appreciate you. This has been awesome. This is probably one of my best podcast, one of my favorite podcasts I've done.
Yeah, same here.
This has been killer. Well, it's your first podcast, right?
First and greatest.
Yeah. Thank you so much for coming on, dude.
Thanks for having me, and thank you to Kananaskis Golf Course for having us. This is amazing.
This is
like
absolutely stunning.
We couldn't have asked for a better spot to film. And
check out Maguire's Instagram in the description. I'll have Kananaskis linked as well if you want to book like an event or come out here and golf sometime. It's a fantastic spot. But thank you.
Thank you, Zach.